cut down wheat or bean field. And here's just some hay fields. I got a kick out of the kids' room at the ENT office. In case you didn't know, Bison is the NDSU mascot. I felt like something international, so I asked where to go, and I went to India Clay Oven. They had a lunch buffet, and it was fantastic. I'll definitely be going back there. I haven't been to a Costco since I moved to North Dakota. I've never been to a Costco that actually looked almost bare. There's a lot of cars in the parking lot, but there's a lot of open space as well. So I'm going to get some things here at the Bismarck, North Dakota Costco. I've never seen this one. It looks big and open and not too busy, which is nice for 1 o'clock, almost 2 o'clock on a Wednesday. They have gas here, so I'll get that before I go home. I only have a quarter tank left, and it's 2 hours, 40 minutes from home. I'm almost out of video, so I did not buy very much at Costco. My son suckered me into picking up Coke Zero for him and his friends since it's cheaper here, and they suggested some chicken bakes. He and his other student friends in his lab today, they're in the background asking for chicken bake. So I'd have to freeze them till I go see them, maybe Saturday, unless someone's going to take a little half-hour road trip today and pick up all this stuff. I counted wrong when I loaded all these cases of Coke Zero in there, and I am waiting for one to be brought up front. Oh, it's already here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I said, hey, you know that you don't know where sucralose goes in your brain, right? He said, I know, but I'm on a diet and it keeps me from eating. So when my extra well-done pizza's done for Chef Louie, I will be on my way. I had a nice day in Bismarck. It's pretty nice here. Heading home from Bismarck. Apparently I left the north end of town, so I have no idea what these highways are. I'm not a super wind turbine fan, but they're out here on the prairie. There's a little bit of sheep ranching down here. I just passed a pasture of dark sheep. They were kind of far away, but I'm pretty sure they were sheep, and I saw mixed colored sheep on the way down here, maybe some Rambouillet and some other ones. And you know, eastern Montana has a lot of sheep as well. Past the Continental Divide on the way down here, it was 2,605 feet, I think it was. However, I did not see any kind of a divide trail because it would have been through a cornfield if there was one. I may have said this before in a video. There are a lot more trees here in North Dakota. That was a pleasant surprise to me, coming from forested land. But eastern Montana is really devoid of a lot of trees. Crazy Cool Colleen, my camper biker friend, would attest to that for sure. Here's a real pretty scene. Arched cornfields with tree lines. That looks like Russian olive. And spruce. I love seeing the pine trees here. That's pretty. Laid out very, very nicely. And over here we have bazillions of hay bales. That's another thing here. The hay bales are so close together compared to Montana. There's just so much thicker grassland. Wanted to go home the way I came because I was staking out some different old barns and definitely around most farmyards and farmsteads, the homestead part of it. Shelter belts or windbreaks were built here. So as you look around the prairie, if you see across a big field, that might be a few sections. Most times, if you do a 360, you'll see 3 or 4 different clumps of trees, and you know that there's either a current or an old farmstead in that location. So I'm heading, I believe, let's see, I don't even know what direction I'm going because I'm not good at that. East on Highway 36. While I was heading down here earlier, I think in all this open country, it was an hour before I passed some small little gas station, which actually was open. I did not have to stop there, but if you have an emergency here, you better open both your car doors because you're out in the open. Out there. You'd think they were cows. Cool old barn in there. Get used to seeing what the fields look like as they're coming up, and then as they're harvested, you know, you get to know the difference between the corn and the beans and the wheat. The one thing I couldn't really tell you would be what barley or rye looked like after it was cut compared to wheat. And I've said this before, I'm not sure exactly where canola harvest falls in the line of what's harvested when, and I'm not sure I would know what a cut down canola field looked like. As I was leaving Bismarck, I saw them combining the dried off sunflowers. They sure have shrunk a lot from when they were in full bloom earlier this summer. hillbilly country down south of where I live here. Angus. Oh, there's a baldy. One baldy. Two baldies. I think I spoke too soon. The trees all left. Pretty buttes out there. I'm so used to everything being so green up where I live. It's almost weird to see this brown. Although in Montana it's normal. Nice ranch country out there. All the hay bales. The guys ringing the hay bales in. Lining them up. Old bales, new bales. Saw a pile of old tires. There's the one gas station I was referring to. And I'm going north on 14. See the old elevator. That's an oldie. So there is some crop out here. Off to the left here there's crop. But a lot of ranch land. It ended up being a beautiful day today. It's 60 degrees. It was 60 when I left Bismarck. It's 57 now. It was 29 when I left this morning. Hey guys. Looking for food? The cows here are fat. Fat cows. Compared to Montana's reindeer looking ones. We do have a lot of national grassland in this state. I think South Dakota does as well. Kind of going to compete with Montana for a big sky today. Big sky. So this corn is all cut down. And waterfowl hunters, pheasant hunters, upland bird hunters. Oh, it's not all cut. Some of it is. Maybe they cut the swath on the outside for habitat. So this is nice here, some grassland and some cover for the birds next to food. And that's what, when you're upland bird hunting, that's what you're looking for. So as I'm driving by and I see things like this, I just think back into history. There's old granaries, there's an old like wooden elevator, and a really cool old barn. It's almost like a little village up here. The barn has both its cupolas still. This is a road, so I'm actually going to drive by. There's buildings over here, old ones. Early 1900s for sure. Late 1800s maybe. This is like an old railroad car. That's pretty radical. thought this road was going somewhere, but I guess it won't. I feel like I'm making my own episode of Backroads, Montana. I used to go to the library and take out those videos. They're probably on YouTube now. That was before the days of internet. But I think I need to start a series, Out and About on the Prairie. I don't know, I think all this old stuff is really cool. I never tire of seeing it. There's just something about agriculture and ranching that it just really piques my curiosity, for sure. That's how weird I am. I guess I'd say I'm weird. I wanted to join the Montana Sheep Growers Association, and I could have been not charter member, not a token member, but I can't think of the right word. Not an actual sheep rancher member, but I did have 2 sheep once, and that's really all that counts. So I don't know if it's like a guest membership, but I was hoping I could go to one of the campouts that they have where they do shearing and they teach shearing and just kind of have a sheep ranching weekend. I mean, I went on a wagon train trip, so I mean, why does that seem out of the ordinary for something that I would choose? It's not. I need this as my new screensaver. Anybody want to wager a guess what's on the other side? Yep, you guessed it, more hay bales. My next little gem. So it says Florence Lake School number 3 restoration project. Money provided by a grant from the State Historical Society, funded by the state legislature, national funds provided by private donations. I can't read the bottom. So it's an old schoolhouse. And actually it says Sterling number 2 on the building. I wonder if we can research some history on that. I wonder who had to come early to start a fire, and if they used coal, wood, or dung. Take a guess. I don't know. I don't know the answer, but I wonder what you guys think. There sure aren't many houses around, so not sure where they all came from, and if they walked, I can't imagine it. Because this is what's out there. Nada. Well, I shouldn't say nothing. No people. Here's a ranch. It's got a sign. Burrer Farm. Burrer. There are a lot less people left out here on the prairie, I'm sure, as far as how they're spread out with mechanized farming practices. You know, people can ranch a lot bigger land or farm a lot more cropland than what they could do with, you know, steam tractors or coal run tractors or horse-drawn, for that matter, even further back. So maybe there were more houses around because they weren't farming as big of tracts of land. See the white out there? I'm thinking snow geese. By the way they're moving, yep, not seagulls. And they're pretty big on the ground. There's a whole bunch more. They're flocking up. water ponds equal mosquitoes. 100%. That one's got the old outhouse. Okay, well, before I totally dropped the phone, well, I didn't drop it, it fell forward on the dash. I was saying that I grew up in Pennsylvania, and mostly what I saw grown was corn, and I know some relatives of mine who had a farm, they did grow some soybean as far as I knew. I did pass that kind of, I don't know if it was drilling vehicle, but some kind of work vehicle, and he was actually going pretty slow every time we'd hit a hill, and there's a lot of them. So, contrary to popular belief, North Dakota is not flat everywhere. So I'll edit this and cut out, parts of nothing, unless I think it's something interesting to see, since it is my video. But autumn is my favorite time of year, no doubt, hands down. Even though spring is nice because things are growing and I like gardening, but this is my favorite time. I wish I could capture more wide angle. I really can't film and drive. Maybe I'll have to get a dash mount one of these days. I'm sure I've said before, I like to watch a lot of Alaska YouTube videos, and they're constantly just putting the phone on the dash everywhere they go, because it's 4 hours here and 6 hours there and lots of car time. Bismarck was on maps 2 hours and 40 minutes from my house. I had my knee surgery, my knee replacement surgery in Bismarck, and that was a long drive home that night. Same night I came home as the day I had surgery. And I remember we pulled over in some, I don't know, shop, like a workshop on the side of the road that had a nice cement pad and good lighting. So stopped and got out and walked. Got back in the car, got the rest of the way home. Funny thing is, I thought I hurt that day. Well, when the nerve block wore off, and then I had to quit taking meds after 3 days. There was about 4 months of misery to follow. So I'm trying to work myself up mentally to be able to go and get the other one done. I injured it pretty badly when I first got to North Dakota this year. Had a big pop, and it's been very unstable since. I think my other muscles have learned to take over at this point, but I'm living with pain every day in my right knee, where I was really hoping to have some time with my healed, replaced knee and my right knee being good for a while. Only that didn't last very long. By the time the left one got pretty good, the right one decided to crap out on me. So these yellow signs out here are reminding me of something. These are not the actual ones I'm going to tell you about, but there are yellow triangle signs that you can see on some field corners, and they will say plots, P-L-O-T-S. There goes a sharp-tailed grouse. So plots, it stands for public land open to sportsmen. Let me see if I can tip this up a little bit more. It's so tipped it's about to fall over toward me with the little stand it has. Anyway, so plots is open to hunting. And I'm not sure, well, I do know how I feel about this, but so I don't own a lot of land in North Dakota, but if I owned a lot of acreage, I think it would bother me the way the laws are. But so far as I understand it, according to the North Dakota Fish and Game Service, North Dakota private land, like all this farmland, this is like sunflowers, dried up sunflowers on the right. Anyway, so North Dakota public land, not public, private land, farmland, is open to hunting. Like private land is open to hunting. Unless you post it electronically or physically with a sign, and the signs have to like have a contact person and a phone number, and I think the signs have to be pretty updated, and they have to be, for instance, if I'm correct, every 850 feet. So that just kind of boggles my mind, because I have a hard time understanding how private land can just be for anybody to come hunt on. So I don't know the history behind that, but if anybody knows, you can let me know. So I guess as a landowner, I have the ability to keep people out, but it just really boggles my mind to think that I have to post it electronically or physically to be able to keep people out. You definitely have to have a healthy respect for the farmer's crop. Don't take your dogs and don't take yourself and your trucks in a field that still has crop. And, don't tear it up. If it's muddy, I think you should stay out. But that's a wonderful access, and there's a lot of hunting that goes on in North Dakota, especially bird hunting. There's deer hunting. There are moose here. In the western part of the state, I believe there are elk, maybe some sheep. I don't know about antelope really. Anyway, as far as birds, upland birds here, there are Hungarian partridge. A lot of people call them Huns for short, and sharp-tailed grouse. Chinese ringneck pheasant, and I'm not very good at saying whether that's a sharp-tailed grouse or a pheasant right off, a hen pheasant right off. They're both gliders, I think. So I'd have to get myself a little more educated on that. Well, I hope I make it home before dark. It's 5 o'clock now. Probably have about an hour left. This is an old barn I've wanted to take a picture of. It's all fallen down. A couple of them. Makes me think how hard it was to get the wood to build those barns in the first place. So here's definitely some low spots. The last one with the silo was Bart's Farm, B-A-R-T-Z. Here's the Animus City Park. Nice thing about a lot of these city parks is you can camp in them for free. I wish that bakery was still open. Guess I'm stuck here for a little while. Let's see how long this train looks. Who knows? Might be a while. Just like that, we're out of town. Collie, I don't know if you came down this way while you were getting blown around on your bike. And it'll pretty much look like this for the next hour home, just like the last hour. So there is a barn over here. Both cupolas. I'm gonna get me one of those one day. Don't know what I'm gonna do with it. Oops. There it is. I see up there, there's another train. Not sure if I get to go parallel to that or if there's another crossing. I like their flag. I think that said Renwick Farms back there. Yep, I would have had to wait for it, but it passed. Antelope Lake, I think that's a popular place to go. Lake Audubon also here. Devil's Lake, of course, near where I live, and Lake Sakakawea. We like Lake Ashtabula, which is the dammed up Cheyenne River. Alright, I'm not gonna miss this one. sunflower. Imagine the beauty of that when it's in bloom. Apparently, pigeons and doves really like sunflowers. I'm not sure about hunting of those here. There's a YouTuber from Bonners Ferry, Idaho, that I think it was Homesteading Family, and they had something called Pantry Chat, which I think that was the podcast part, and I don't think they're doing that anymore. Very informative channel. I actually bought their master class, their dairy master class, cheese making, and all different things you can do with milk. Excellent resource on canning and food preservation. Another one I really like is out of Iowa, Homesteading with the Zimmermans. I like Farmhouse on Boone. I think they are in Missouri. Just got back into Pierce County, southern end of it. That is the town that Rugby, North Dakota is in, which is where I go to my medical clinic and pharmacy, the local one anyway. Specialists are in Minot, Grand Forks, Fargo, Bismarck. So that's an hour and a half, 2.5 hours, I think, to Grand Forks. Maybe it's 2 hours, I'm not exactly sure. I don't go there very often. Fargo's over 3. There's the plot sign, if you saw it fast. Until I edited this, I didn't realize I was going to have such an abrupt ending. But thanks for sticking it out if you stayed this long. For Amy, out and about on the prairie. See you next time. Signing off from High Life on the High Line.